Welcome to Mindnificent. In today's video, we're exploring 5 lessons people learn too late in life. Have you ever wished you could get a do-over? Somehow rewind back to your teenage years armed with the knowledge and experience you have now? One of life's great ironies is that by the time we truly understand ourselves and how the world works, we've already lived most of our life. Imagine how successful we'd be if we had just learnt these valuable life lessons early on. Number 1. Don't sacrifice your health for money or success. How many of you have a retirement plan that involves golf, water sports, or getting out in the great outdoors? The problem is, so many people are so focused on building their nest egg, working their bodies to the bone over decades, only to find that by the time they retire, their bodies can't keep up. A lifetime of back-breaking labor isn't worth it if you aren't healthy enough to enjoy it at the end. But it's not just about retirement age when it comes to your health. High-powered individuals often pull extreme hours with little sleep and no time in between to relax and recharge. Stress, overworking, and fatigue can result in a relatively new phenomenon known as burnout. It's a complete productivity shutdown that has dramatic effects on your health at the same time. Working too hard can cause and exacerbate mental illness as well as manifest in various health issues, including hypertension, fatigue, extreme weight changes, and migraines. The truth is, it's much easier to stay healthy than to heal from a problem or disease, and no amount of success or money can replace your health. Don't take your health for granted and take steps to mitigate stress that could cause problems later. Number 2. Measure twice, cut once. It's a common carpenter's quote that is remarkably relevant in all aspects of life. You should always check and then double-check before making a permanent decision. It comes down to 2 invaluable principles a lot of people don't learn until much later in life: patience and preparation. According to the saying, patience is a virtue, and there's good reason why this is absolutely true. Without it, people act on impulse and make reckless, risky decisions. The outcome, more often than not, leads to failure, unhappiness, and regret. Take time when responding to an emotionally charged situation. Pausing, taking a breath, and thinking about all the moving parts can help you make rational judgments. This also applies to any sales pitch where someone wants your business. Never feel rushed or pressured by time to commit to something you don't fully understand. Be calm, informed, collective, and only make big decisions on your terms and on your schedule. If you're being held to an arbitrary timeline, that's a good indication that terms aren't in your favor. The most important decisions in your life shouldn't be made on a whim. They should be carefully thought out with all positives, negatives, and consequences considered. Impulsivity can be fun, but leave that for those moments your life doesn't depend on it. Number 3. Open yourself up to love. It's human nature to want to feel loved by another person, but way too often people are obsessed with being in a relationship or finding their soulmate. People on the lookout for love are ironically much more closed off and unwilling to open themselves up to being hurt. Love is amazing, but pain and stress comes along with it. If you aren't willing to be hurt, you aren't ready to be loved. In order to be truly loved by another person, you need to be vulnerable, optimistic, and honest. Not just with the other person, but with yourself. You can't have walls up protecting yourself. You need to be open and prepared to get hurt. How can you expect someone to love you when you can't form a genuine emotional connection with you? For someone to love you wholeheartedly, they need to understand the person that you are. To do this, you need to be open about yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you're loved, appreciated, and understood, warts and all, you've got yourself a keeper. There's nothing better than someone accepting and loving you for who you truly are. If there's one lesson most people wish they learned earlier, it's love and honesty don't work without each other. Number 4. Everyone has their reasons. When you're running late for work, you're practicing a myriad of excuses to give your boss to why it's not your fault. You were probably stuck in traffic or your bus came late. Either way, you expect for your bosses to empathize with your situation because it happened to you. Now, consider a coworker who is running late for the third time this week. We immediately assume that employee is lazy or uncommitted, even if they give the same excuses you did. How come your excuses were valid and your coworkers weren't? Unfortunately, it's human nature to not really extend the same rationalizations to others that we give ourselves. For most of our lives, we subconsciously see ourselves as the protagonist of our own story, and most of the people we interact with on a day-to-day basis are just two-dimensional NPCs in a show about us. We only really consider the impact to ourselves and the select few we consider reoccurring characters. It can take time to realize that each one of these so-called NPCs is actually a fully fledged person with an intricately complex life and relationships of their own. Everyone has a story. Everyone has history and baggage. Everyone has their reasons for who they are and why they do things. Maybe that angry guy on the subway just lost his mother. Maybe that hysterical customer in the restaurant is going through a painful divorce. It would be easy to pass judgment or even take their behavior personally. Knowing that everyone has their reasons helps you make better emotional connections and allows you to respond better in situations that may have absolutely nothing to do with you. Number 5. You have power. Power isn't always about wealth, strength, celebrity, or authority. At its core, power is just influence, and everyone commands at least a little. When we say influence, it's easy for your mind to drift to a negative connotation. Influence and manipulation go hand in hand after all. But it's much simpler than that. Influence is just the effect that your presence, actions, or words have on others, good or bad. Your immediate circle feels your influence the most: your partner, your friends, and your family. Your opinion matters to them, and their actions can hinge on how you feel. Outside of this circle, it's easy to feel like you have no power. If you aren't a celebrity or public figure or powerful businessman, do you really have any influence at all? The answer is yes. And unfortunately, most of us spend the first half of our lives believing the exact opposite. We have the power to influence the lives of complete strangers in ways we cannot begin to imagine. Think about it this way. Have you ever received a smile or a compliment from a passing stranger? How did it make you feel? Did you then spend the rest of the day on a mini high, smiling to yourself and others as well? What's the chances those people took that positive mood with them and passed it on to others they came across throughout the day? It turns out, feeling good is infectious, and in a real-life example of the butterfly effect in action, that one initial smile spread fast, brightening the lives of thousands of people. And while you may not have started this massive feel-good pandemic, without you, so many people would have missed out. You have the power to influence and make a world of change through even the simplest of gestures. That's all we have time for today. What lesson do you wish you'd learned earlier? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, please remember to subscribe to our channel and click on that bell notification button because more magnificent content is on the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.